Life of crime. Montiglio's stories are gruesome, but they're not the only record of his life of crime. We've uncovered an incredible home movie journal of the making of this mobster. We'll show you the real Godfather tapes, and we'll give you a never-before-seen glimpse inside a mafia family. Next. As president, but by the time he was 25, he was a full-fledged mafia mobster, a part of a killing crew known as the Murder Machine. Steve Dunleavy found out what happened in the years between when he unearthed exclusive real-life Godfather footage.
The closest the average person got to being in a mafia godfather's house was watching Marlon Brando. What you are seeing is little Dominick Montiglio, a boy chosen from birth by his godfather uncle, Nino Gadji, to be a mobster. 40 years ago, way before the Godfather movie was ever thought of, Nino Gadji started this incredible diary of his own, the real Godfather movie, something you'll never see in a cinema.
I understood we were a little different. I was about 8 years old, and I got elected class president. I was real happy about it. And I walked into the apartment, and my uncle was there. And I said, guess what? He said, what? I said, I got elected class president. And he said, well, what does that mean? I said, well, teacher goes out of the room and stuff. I sit there, and if anybody's bad, if anybody does anything wrong, I write their name on the board and stuff. So he looked at me and he says, well, what you're telling me is that you're a rat. You're a stool pigeon.
Little Dominick was ordered by his Uncle Nino to quit his first legitimate job.
I went back the next day, and the teacher I couldn't explain why. And I couldn't tell her, well, my uncle doesn't want me to be a stool pigeon.
When Dominick was growing up, Nino actually stole him away from his father, who was a drinker, and took him over as his own son. Nino indoctrinated Dominick into that life.
Godfather Gadji doted on his surrogate son, recording every milestone of his life, from the baby bath, to his first communion, to his confirmation, his birthdays, playing the sax, a school play, to his teenage stint in a rock and roll band, to a young man only days away from joining the army, where he became a decorated hero, and then into manhood, all the time Godfather Gadji, training him to be a mobster in the most monstrous of mobs.
My uncle told me about this guy, Roy DeMeo, and he had a group around him of young kids that were all just killers, vicious guys.
As his ultimate gift, Uncle Nino, the Godfather, installed Dom as his eyes and ears in this crazed crew and relied on him to make things right if anything went wrong. And it did.
There came a time in 1979 when Roy DeMeo and Nino Gadji killed Jimmy Ippolito Jr. and Sr. on the Belt Parkway in Brooklyn. Roy got away. Nino ended up being apprehended at the scene and arrested for the murder, double murder of the Ippolitos. As a result, Nino ended up at Rikers Island.
But Dominick proved his value as an advisor because what happened next was straight out of Terry and the Pirates.
When Roy first heard this, he assembled his crew, told them to bring all their weapons to the club, and they were going to plan an assault of Rikers Island by boat to rescue Nino from the island.
So Dom talked them out of it, and Nino eventually walked. But things started to get tough, even for Dom.
It was like an addiction, because eventually, not only did they start killing each other, but innocent people started to go more frequently.
Innocent people like Dominick Ragucci, a 19-year-old military school graduate, a case of wrong place, wrong time, while his parents mourned the DeMeo Crew party on home video.
You stop, I'm gonna shoot you.
That was Roy DeMeo alive until his own crew blew him away, ending his 10-year reign of terror. Party guests, his executioners. Dirty Henry Borelli, Joey Testa, and Anthony Center, the Gemini twins. And Dominick learned he was next Uncle Nino ordered him killed. Nothing personal, strictly business.
I don't think there's any question about it. I think he would have had to.
Dominick, in 1983, a generation later, finally became class president and turned stool pigeon.
I would rather do 3 more tours in Vietnam than have to go through that again.
Godfather Nino Gadji died in jail. Dominick Montiglio is forever in hiding, remaining silent until now.
I'm not saying that the characters in it rise to the level of the characters in Shakespeare, but the tragedy of the lives in this story much closer to Shakespeare than The Godfather.
You know what? I wonder what would have happened if I would have just defied Nino and became class president in those days.
I don't know, Dom. Maybe you wouldn't be running for your life, looking over your shoulder every day.
Maybe I should have became class president.